Hi, I'm Michael Owen and I'm thrilled to join Weeks as their global brand ambassador. In football, success comes from precision, speed and strategy. Every move matters. With 1,000 plus trading pairs, you can trade spot, futures and more. And security? Weeks leads the way with Plus, a 1,000 Bitcoin protection fund. Join me on Weeks, where new wealth is made.
Hey legends, how are we doing? We're back with another absolute banger of a show, and following on from Dank, another one of my absolute favorite people in the industry, Follis, who's going to be with us in a moment. But first of all, I would just like chance to welcome you, whether it's your first time here or whether you've been with us all week, to Trading Congress 2025. It's our 7th annual edition of this, and it's been another absolutely amazing time. We've had a full week of focused education, market insights, practical guidance, all designed to help you become a stronger and more confident trader. This year, Trading Congress has been supported by our partners EdgeX and Weeks, who made the entire edition free for everyone. So a really big shout out to them. All of the information you can find in the description if you're watching this through YouTube. But if you are watching this through Twitter or X, then you can find it by going over to our profile at The Burb Nest. So without further ado, I would like to welcome a true legend in the industry and a good friend, Follis. How you doing, brother?
Yo, what's up? How we doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm always the better for seeing you. And it's funny because we normally meet in the most obscure or faraway places. And I think for once, maybe we're both kind of, you know, I'm in London and you're in the...
We normally meet in the bar. I don't think you need to, you don't need to hide that fact. We normally meet in a pub in Dubai or something like that.
I love like the pub in Dubai, like really kind of downplaying these wonderful beach resorts. Really.
Yeah.
You know, swilling down fine whiskies and that. But you know, it's not all drinking in this game. There's some hard work that goes in, right? You know, some work hard, play hard mentality. And actually, I was just speaking to Dank as well. We were just chatting away over there about everything that's gone on and about how this is all so much about the networking, all right? And I think we've lost the visuals on you at the moment, which I'm not against, actually. It can probably pretty easily
happen. Sorry, yeah.
I'm having a blue screen. I'm
trying
not
to figure out.
It's fine, man. There he is. There he is.
Is my audio better now? Because
yeah.
I was getting, the audio was tinny. I heard from my support unit. Yeah. Okay. Is it better now?
I love the support unit. It's really, really good. I love the support unit you've got there as well. And thanks as well, guys, for that. You know, I was going to let him continue with that, so I had a little edge and hopefully, you know, it sounded a little bit better. But appreciate you all. Look, before I ramble on too much, you know, we're both talkers, as we know, and I really want this to be about you because of all the different stuff that we could sit and talk about today. You know, the technicals, the charts, all the rest of it. Really, one of the things that's always amazed me about you is, first of all, your professionalism to the industry, the way that you bring, you know, a very kind of structured, methodical, professional approach to an industry that is really still quite immature if we're comparing it to, you know, to other industries in truth. But the other thing is really how rapid your rise in this industry has been, not just to become a successful trader, but building everything. You've got a Chroma, one of my absolute favorite groups out there. You've got amazing traders, watch you guys a lot. You carry yourself in an amazing way. So really, I try this, I struggle. I'm going to try and shut up and really make this a lot about you. And I just wanted people to really try and understand a little bit about your journey. So, I mean, can you give us a little intro on you, and then we'll really kind of dive into the detail?
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, appreciate the kind words. It's always nice to hear people singing my praises. No, but I appreciate that. It means a lot coming from you. As I said many times before, I really admire what you and Adrian and the rest of the team are doing at Burb Nest. So means a lot coming from you guys. But so I mean, I'm Follis. I've been in trading. I've been trading crypto since 2021 actually. So I'm pretty new. Like someone the other day said, I can't remember. I commented on their post. They're like, "Oh, I really respect getting an opinion from an OG," and I was like, "Man, I'm very far from an OG. I've only been around for 4 years." But yeah, before that, in another life, I was actually a lawyer or a solicitor, as we say in England and Ireland. And yeah, like I spent 10 years studying law, doing law school thing, undergrad, master, paralegal, work experience, interning, training, and then I qualified. And I worked for like a year. I think I worked for exactly 14 months, and I absolutely hated it. And I packed it in. And it just so happened there was a kind of a culmination of a few different things in my life. I was not only was I not enjoying what I was doing in law, but kind of it was like peak 2021. I was the retail guy in 2021 who came and bought all the bags at the top. So you made money in 2021. It was in part because of me and people like me. So yeah, I joined like the Pico top in 2021. Things were moving. There was lots of there was a lot of like zeitgeist around crypto at the time. I mean, there still is, but I think 2021 was a real bubble in terms of broader public awareness, and that was obviously the thing that pulled me in. So I got into trading around the same time that my existing job was really not something I was enjoying. So the transition was actually pretty like it made a lot of sense in a lot of ways. It was just something that I kind of was pushed and pulled towards at the same time.
Brave though, right? Because sorry to interrupt, because you've spent 6 years in high level education. Really, if you've then you've done the qualifications, you've got the placement, you've worked basically the most horrible part of qualifying as a solicitor.
Yeah,
you've got a year under your belt. What, another 8 or 10 months, and you're basically able to then go out on your own from that point. So you were working still, right, when you decided to make this pivot. And let's be honest, it's a really, really intense industry to be working in law.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like, let's just put it this way. I didn't have a lot of free time back then. I was working a time-intensive 9 to 5. Law is like 9 to 9.
Yeah.
Law is like, it's like, and then I remember so well, like I was spending like my lunch break, like reading technical analysis PDFs that I had downloaded from some Telegram somewhere. I would work out and I would have like, Abe Trade, Adam. Like I would have like
the podcasts or
I would have his YouTube videos like on my iPad, and I would be watching them between sets. That's not a joke. Like I was really making the time. Now I was fortunate in that, I was at a point in my life where I didn't have a ton of other obligations. So I was really able to put like as many free hours as I had in the day into this thing. And yeah, it was just one of those things where, like, I'm sure you're the same. I'm sure many of our listeners are the same. Like, I have this this boneheaded Irishness about me that, like, whenever I put my mind to something, I'm almost too stubborn to admit defeat. Yeah. And like at the end of 2021, like it wasn't all roses and daisies. Like at the end of 2021, I was down bad. I put I think I put around 40K into crypto at the very start of 2021, and it was a goose egg by the end of 2021. It was zero, and that was like all of my savings. That was my net worth effectively.
Well, you were probably wearing maybe a little bit of debt as well. I mean, I know uni fees aren't quite as toxic as they are now.
Bro, I'm Irish. Or in Ireland. This isn't America. Ireland is free third level education, baby.
What? Hang on.
Let me just
in England.
Let me
You
just
don't have
chill. Yeah, I know, because I did my master's in London. I know it's not. I know it's not free.
Whoa,
Yeah,
man. I mean, come on, Jesus, we need to sort that out. But okay,
yeah.
yeah, fine. Before this turns into a political row. But
I
yeah,
know, yeah. Well, the
oh,
Americans are worse. They come out with 50 grand in debt. No, but I mean, I was down bad, and I had like a tough conversation with myself at the end of 2021. I said, like, is this something I actually want to do? If I want to do it, I have to do it right. Because like at the moment, I was like, I had no idea about technicals. I had no idea
mhm,
about setups. I had no idea about risk management. I had no idea what an actual trade setup was. I was just buying things randomly, and then they
mhm,
would go down, and then I would sell them, and then they would go back up, and then I would panic buy them again. I mean, there was no structure to what I was doing, and it's no surprise that I lost a ton of money. So at the end of 2021, I knuckled down, and I really started applying myself. I really
mhm,
started learning about it was funny. I had tried so many different trading concepts up to that point. I had tried, GAN theory. I tried Elliott wave. I was trying, like everything really, like there was, and nothing was clicking, in the sense that nothing really resonated with me. And I would try something for 2 weeks and it would kind of work. And then I would just try another thing for 2 weeks. And I'm sure many people empathize with that, because I
mhm,
didn't know what I was doing, I was
mhm.
just trying to find something. And then I actually shout out my boy, I watched Trader Main's live stream for the
Main, what a
first
legend.
for the
Yeah,
first time. He was talking about this thing called price action. He's
yeah.
talking about breaker blocks and
Mhm,
supply and demand. He's talking about order blocks. He's
mhm.
talking about FEGs. Now, I subsequently learned that a lot of those concepts are ICT, smart money concepts. It doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
anything
It's all broad. It's all price action,
look,
right?
it's what speaks to you, right? Ultimately, you find something in this industry similar to me that just clicks, and you think this makes sense to me. How price moves, right? This is something I can build on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Someone says in the chat, a lawyer turned trader. Can't get any more logical than that. Yeah, try explaining to my parents and my girlfriend that I left 10 years of education behind, some of which my parents paid for, to go
Yeah.
trade Dogecoin with the boys in the Discord. That was I mean, they bless their hearts, they trusted me, but I mean, yeah, very interesting conversation, and trying to explain to 60-year-old people what crypto even is, let alone that I'm about to pivot my entire life into it. Um, but yeah, price action trading was the first thing. Like it spoke to me. I was like, okay, that
Mm,
makes a ton of sense. This is something that I can actually vibe with. This is something that I can apply myself to. And over the next like 6 months, I would say I absolutely devoted, like every waking hour. I was back
mm,
testing. I was paper trading, then trading with small capital. I was in a Discord with a bunch of guys. I actually got added to a Discord. I remember, like, at the start of 2022. It was funny. It was just like I was posting all these charts, and this guy reached out to me. He's like, "Hey man, like, do you want to join our Discord?" It's just like me and a few other traders, and the few
mm,
other traders were like, it was literally like 15 traders that I was like emulating on Twitter, like following their content. I joined, and I was by far the worst trader in that group, but I asked like every question under the sun. And I was like, hey, why did you draw your lines there? Hey, why is that not a valid liquidity sweep? Hey, why are you looking for that retrace there and not higher? Like just
mm,
constant questions. And I'd say like the next 12 months was a very rapid rise for me, insofar as I went from like not knowing what I was doing, not understanding anything about price action, not
mhm,
being profitable, to all of a sudden like making a little bit of money, all of a sudden like kind of understanding what I was looking for in the charts. Like I
mhm.
make an analogy between technical analysis and chess. Like I'm a big chess player. I play chess way too much. Way too much of my life is spent playing online
I
chess.
don't
It's
know when
my
you get the time, to be honest. But
yeah. Oh,
is it?
it's an addiction. Once you
Like,
start
I mean,
playing,
maybe get like game theory. I think
yeah, a
you,
little
this.
bit. Chess is actually not so much. It's not as similar to trading. Poker is way closer to trading.
Yep,
Funnily enough, yeah, funnily enough.
agreed. Yeah.
Um, because chess is a game of perfect information. You see everything on
Yeah,
the
and you're
board.
in trading. You're dealing with not a lot of
Yeah, with
information.
poker and trading, you're dealing with a lot of things that you don't know. So there's a
Mhm,
lot of analogies there, but I digress.
mm,
Um, yeah, and I talk about like in chess, like when you start playing chess, you look at the board and you don't know what's going on, and you're like,
mhm,
oh yeah, the horse that moves like that, and oh yeah, the pawn. And it really takes you a lot of time to understand what's happening in a position and what
mhm,
players are trying to get out of a position. Whereas like now, I've been playing chess for like 20 years, so I look at a board and it's like I see what's happening pretty quickly. Like I'm not a grandmaster or anything, so there's a lot that would be, you know, beyond me. But the fundamentals I understand almost straight away, and I will understand like the attacks, you know, where the weaknesses are, where the strengths are, what each player is trying to do, and that's board literacy, and it only comes through lots of time spent playing and analyzing chess.
Practice,
the same can go.
Practice.
Yeah, exactly. The same goes with trading, right? The same goes with charts. Like if you look at a chart for the first time, you'll be like, what the hell is it? Candlesticks? Like, what's going on? It's going up and then it's going down. Like, what's it? And you don't know what's going on. And you know, it's actually thankfully gotten to the point. I'm sure you're the same. I'm sure many of our listeners are the same. Maybe many of our viewers. Like now, I'll look at a chart and within like 5 seconds, I know is it something that I want to trade or not, right? That only comes through hundreds and thousands of hours of chart time, right? Where you're just looking at all this price action, all these previous patterns, and then kind of applying that to present and future price action in order to dictate whether or not that's something you want to trade, right? But that chart literacy is so important, and it's one of the reasons I often say, like, people say, like, what's the big difference between you know, guys who are really great at understand, like the guys who have the great intuition, like how did they do it? And I say it didn't happen overnight. Like the guys I know who are the best like predictors of price action, the guy, and they always underplay it. They go, oh, I got a funny feeling, I got a ball tingle on this one. I think I know what's gonna. I'm like, that tingle only comes because you have spent thousands of hours in the charts, trading, analyzing, looking at price patterns that have happened before, and then applying that knowledge to price patterns that are happening now. And it gets to the point where you're actually like, you just see the same things happening again and again, and then you kind of get a decent read on the market, right? But that only comes with time. So that was like my first year as a profitable trader, was like end of 2021 when I made that decision to actually knuckle down, to like the end of 2022. It was kind of, it really happened very quickly. I went from being not profitable, not knowing what I was doing, to then making a little bit of money, making a little bit of profit, to then kind of the point where it became consistent, right? And that's the beautiful part, where it really started to click, and I really started to see what was going on in the charts. I really started to think like, okay, this is really something that I can make a bunch of money off of, and it's something I love as well. So, you know, at that point, it made sense. It didn't make sense to be in law anymore. So I left my law career halfway through 2022, actually, and yeah, then just made the transition full time to crypto. And very early on, I mean, you touched on kind of growing and kind of like coming up and building a business and building a brand, but that was a decision I made very early on. You know, I wanted, like, as I said, like, I just shouted out Maine, I'll shout him out again. Like, I saw him, he had, you know, a couple of 100,000 followers on X. He had a big YouTube presence, he had a big Twitch presence, and he was educating people, and he educated me. I was like, fuck it, I want to do that. I want to be that guy. Right. So I made the decision early on that I was going to be fully face stocks, like you are, like he is. I was gonna really try and like educate people, and I was really going to try and like build a presence online and kind of build out a brand. And that's kind of where it has led me today, where, you know, I'm running this community, Chroma Trading, and we've grown from, originally we had like 30 students in a Discord and me and a couple of friends, and now we have like 20 staff and 600-700 members, and you know, it has exploded beyond what my original expectations were.
And actually, let me just interrupt you here, just for a moment, right? Because there's a couple of bits I want to touch on before we kind of go on from here, because there are things that I'm a big advocate of that I've gone through in my trading career. Because it's very similar to you. I pivoted out of a really, really intense career into trading. I just randomly got the bug. Actually, it was like traditional market stuff. A friend of mine was really killing the Forex markets, and I never thought I'd want to be in finance. I never thought I'd want that real traditional kind of job, you know, finance, medicine, law, etc. Right? So I'd gone into businesses early, and you know, there's a few cliche phrases that I use with people, but I think really, really stand up here. And the reason I wanted to mention it now, because what we're about to go into, we've had conversations about a few times. When you joined that Discord, and you had all these amazing traders around you, people you looked up to, right? It's one of those things where you're, you know, again, cliche, surrounding yourself with the very best people and not being the smartest person in the room, right?
Yes.
Super
important.
Yeah, but like,
leave your ego at the door.
People don't understand this, right? What people want to do is the first moment someone learns something, they want to then share that with other people to see that they're on this pedestal, to be like, oh, there's other people learning from me, right? And it's it's just disruptive to your journey. But I think the concentrated practice, so when you have less time, so for me, when I really pivoted, I was doing the same thing, like 10 o'clock till midnight every night. I was studying. Lunchtimes, I'd get up an hour early in the morning, and you can't just scattergun your approach. You have to really focus in. You really want to go deep on that niche and really understand it. But the reason I kind of wanted to get onto this was because you made that early stage decision with Chroma. And I remember you and I having a conversation, I think, in Singapore. And it's funny because I'd just come from, I think I'd spoken or something at one of the events. And one of the things I'd said, they said, what does like head of trading mean? You're head of trading for TBN, you know, like Adrian's like the big influencer. He's the main name. What does head of trading mean? I just said, it just means that my job's to find better traders than me, to build around me that makes my job a lot easier, right? And then when we spoke in Singapore and you just turned around to me and you said, look, my vision for Chroma was just to find loads of traders who are just better than me or want to be better than me, that want this platform to just be amazing. So, you know, did that play in to, you know, that early Discord experience for you where you worked with those other people and you were thinking, was that an inspiration to start doing what you did at Chroma?
100%. So I think there are two questions there. So like at the very start, that random Discord that I got invited into, where I was the dumbest guy in the room. That was honestly the most progression in my entire career was made there. It was almost startling how much I was learning every week. And
but you were also having to ask a lot of questions, right?
Yes,
this is something people don't do. People go into the room and they feel like they don't want to ask the question, right? You don't want to be that person. You want to be the person desperate for that information.
You need to leave your ego at the door. I actually said there were two guys in that Discord, and at the time they were 17 years old. That's 17. They were teenagers. Wow. I was 30 or 29, and I was learning from these guys that were over a decade younger than me. Now, I could have easily said, they're kids. What do they know? Holy shit, they knew so much. They were like, they had just gobbled up all this ICT stuff, all this SMC stuff, all this price action stuff, and they knew it like the back of their hand. You know, these malleable brain youths.
Yeah.
And I was like, I said early on, I was like, I am not going to have any ego here or any qualms with asking them a bunch of questions. And I still call like one of those guys my mentor, you know, even though he's 10 years younger than me, which people are like, nah, you don't mean that. I'm like, yeah, absolutely. I learned so much from that guy. Yeah, so it's like, you really do have to, surround yourself with people who are smarter than you. And I guess that was one of the impetuses behind building a community. Like, of course, there are multiple things that go into it. You want to build a home base. You want to build somewhere that you wake up in the morning, you go and you say hi to the boys, right? That was like, that sense of community is quite important because trading is a very lonely game. Like, you know, everyone's trading their own books. Everyone has their own, you know, their own style, their own tolerances, their own. So there's a lot that goes into, you know, there's a lot that goes into just being like a lone wolf in trading. And I think that it's important to kind of diversify that energy in a lot of senses. And like surrounding yourself with people who are doing the same thing as you it is honestly, it's such a massive value add, even if you don't necessarily like learn specifically the technicals from them. Just that idea of being surrounded by people who are doing the same thing as you, who are going through the same struggles as you, who are facing the same adversities as you. Like that adds a ton, I think, especially when you're just starting off, because you realize that so many of the things that you're encountering and so many of the problems that you're facing and so many of the hurdles that you have to jump over are things that everyone has to jump over. And a lot of the time that shared experience can really help with your advancement. But yeah, that was kind of the goal initially, was, you know, surround myself with people who are better than me, who I can learn from. And then you're gonna like, if that's the first step, then, you know, every step subsequent to that is going to be kind of on the right track and on the right footing. And even now, like, I regularly learn things from the trading team that I've built, which is like, that's a great position to be in, right? You know, people say, oh, like, well, you've been trading for X amount of years now, what do you have left to learn? Like, man, everything. Like, we're
eternal students in this game.
Eternal students. And like, even like, because the market is constantly shifting and constantly changing, like,
it evolves.
You know, if you're not like constantly sharpening your edge and constantly moving with the market, you're going to get left behind. Like, how many guys do we know off the top of our head who killed it in like 2017, who just can't trade now because they've kind of stopped evolving and the market has left them behind, right? You never want to be in that position.
No, and in this game as well, I think a misconception people have is that They think that by standing still with what you've got, you're not losing ground. You might not be gaining anymore, but you're not losing it. The truth is you are, right?
Yeah.
The market, the concepts, everything. I mean, you only have to hark back to, say, the transition from paper to digital trading, and the amount of funds that blew up being slow in that transition, right? But even more in regular times, arbitrage trading. Actually, one of my first experiences with trading traditional markets was arbitrage and algos and that. I mean, I talk about, by the way, people being younger than you, right? Like I'm 40 very soon, and I'm working with
Pack it in,
Adrian.
Unc. It's over for you. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
mate, over. Jesus Christ. I can barely set up like these studio rooms and stuff. Do you know what I mean? I've got like 5 people babying me at the moment to get me
this
through
guy
the
out of
show.
here.
Right? I mean, they come look, I think what they come to me for is that kind of grandfatherly, that boomer-like comfort, right? But,
Don't say that. I'm not that much younger than you. Please
what?
don't use the word grandfatherly.
No, it's done now. It's been said. It's in the public domain, and you've got to wear it. And I love some of my favorite trolls in the whole industry, by the way, are some of the trolls you get on your show. Like, honestly, like they're savage, but they bring a bit of humor, right? So hopefully one of them, uses that. Hopefully I've given someone some ammunition to entertain you, right? But, working with Adrian, right, Crypto Burb, the guy was in Forbes 30 under 30, and people are just like, this guy's like, what? This guy's kind of like head of your company. He's, the guy's a massive inspiration to you, and that he's like 8 years or whatever younger than you, right? Like, how is that so? It's, yeah, but I mean, why would you put that blocker in? Why would you stop yourself learning? Like, imagine you've got these amazing, talented people, and they're younger than you. You just go, no, look, age is what matters. Well, it's not, but it's a difficult industry to park your ego in, right? And I think that wanting to be humble, being humble, can open so many doors for you, right? Because there's a big difference to being the reply guy in the comment that's just asking the same annoying thing over and over versus people, for example, just my own experience, come onto our show and you can tell the people that are kind of like, okay, why did you put that there though? Why didn't you take this one? Why is this a key area of demand and not that? Why are you looking for this gap, or why are you looking for this inefficiency, in price? Why would I target, and for that, I always remember the amount of time and effort people put into me, helping me out in the early days. And I think this is a beautiful kind of natural cycle of then giving some of that back, right? Whether you're doing that in a community, whether you're doing it, giving stuff away on X or Twitch or any kind of social platforms, right? I think there's a side of this, and something that really resonated with what you said is one of my favorite things every day is, first of all, working in an industry I love. It's incredibly testing. There's been a few times that I've really thought over my career, I just don't have what it takes. I built a lot, lost a lot, built a lot, lost a lot. That whole kind of transition, it's a constant mental strain. But having that support from people that you respect and people that drive you and people that motivate you, right? Like you said, looking to your left or your right, and those people are in the trenches with you, right? That support network is really, really powerful. And if you're not in a stage to get that, if you're not at a stage of trading where you can reach out to other traders and create something like that, then being part of a really good community as a student, right? I can't speak highly enough of it. And I know you're a great advocate of some of the people that have been through your system, right? We've got it with a couple of our traders as well, but you are really, really amazing with this. You take these talented students, right? You help develop them. They get their own spot on the Discord, and they have a chance to really kind of grow with Chroma, right? And potentially become one of your team.
All of our team currently, every single one of our team started in the Discord. I think with one exception, started in the Discord as a student.
Was the one exception John Z, or?
No, he also started. He also started as a free invite, I think, from another trader.
How?
He came in as a member. Then he worked his way up to talent, and then he worked his way up to analyst. Yeah, I think the one exception is Trader Tim, actually, because he was already quite established when he came in. So we just got him in straight away. But yeah, he had been like in the wider community for years at that point. In any case, but yeah, like every single one of them, we're very socially mobile. We're very very upwards mobile. But like, I mean, like it is a joke, but like at the same time, like that's the best way to do it. Like guys, I every day I get job applications, and don't get me wrong, I love it because that's also part of my job. Like, I'm the director of the company. Part of my job is talent acquisition and talent retention, right? I'm always on the lookout for smart, hardworking guys who want to join the team and contribute to what we're trying to build, right? Absolutely. But so many guys come in, guys with 20, 30,000 followers, and they join and say, hey man, I'm calling trades for this group, for this group, for this group. Yeah, I'm an analyst in this group, and I want to join Chroma. Give me a corner. I'll call a bunch of banger trades. And I'm like, well, like, first of all, you like, I don't know who you are. You haven't come up through the ranks. You don't know our community. You don't know how we work. And you're in like 3 or 4 other Discords. You're calling trades for those. Like, you might call a few trades. They might go pretty well, but there's no value add to the community, right? You haven't come up with the guys, and it sends the wrong message as well. The message is that like, oh, we'll just bring in anyone. You don't have to work your ass off. It's just like, do you have a social media following? Then okay, then you're perfect for the team, right? And it's like what I'm trying to do is like, so much of building a community is about we're trying to reward the guys who are putting in the work, the guys who are putting up their hand, the guys who are killing it day in, day out, the guys who have contributed on the way up. And I think that's been incredibly successful so far. Like, as I said, like, our entire trading team have all started as members or students, with one exception, and have all come up.
I love that. And a little bit of a kind of law model to that, right? Getting talent, bringing them in-house, getting them to develop under structured systems. Not saying that you're confining these people to systems, right? But you really get to understand people when they're coming up, and they're kind of, they're learning in a space that you understand, a space that you've controlled, right? And I love that. And do you know what? I know that you promoted a lot of people internally, but I really didn't know that your whole model was about that kind of internal promotion. I've seen some of your traders. I love some of your traders you've got over there. Like John Z still amazes me. I still don't know what about,
no one does.
No,
no. Don't ask.
Apart from John Z, right?
Yeah.
But this guy's, honestly, he's just this. He's an exceptional scalper. He's just like got this tiny little line on his chart, and he's just like, yeah, I'm longing the hell out of that with like a 2-point stop loss, and I'm going to just do 20R. And these things just hit, and you're just like, hell, man. I mean, maybe I need to take your course, actually, Follis, if he learned from you, right?
He's an exceptional low time frame trader. But that's interesting that you hit on the law point, because that's something that I do come back to. It's easy, and I did joke about it at the start of the conversation. I just said, 10 years in law education, and where did it get me? But actually, I feel like so much of how I structure like my social media presence, my trading group, even like my own trading, is based on, I guess, like the critical thinking skills that I have developed in legal studies and legal practice. Like I was working in like one of the biggest corporate law firms in Ireland, right? I trained in another corporate law firm that was also one of the biggest in Ireland. Like I was working with some incredibly smart people, right? And like law is very much like it can be trial by fire. It's got a vicious burnout rate. Like it's something like, I think after the first 5 years, only like 20% of trainees are still in the profession. And it's even worse for barristers. So it's like it's an incredibly competitive environment. It's an environment that really, really rewards hard work, discipline, organization, critical thinking skills. I think like that all lent itself to where I am now, and like how I approach this new section in my life, this new section of my career. And so often, like, it's funny because crypto is it's so informal, and it's so like, I don't know, it's kind of hilarious to me sometimes because there's so much money involved, right? Like there's even more money in crypto than there is in, like, I worked in investment law, right? And like, so there was lots of big money being thrown around, but like nothing compared to some of the degen stuff you see. Like we never dealt with anyone who was like James Wynn's positions. You know what I mean? We were dealing with big funds, but they were like, like 10 million AUM, like 20 million AUM. Then I see
that on
like
a single trade, right?
Yeah, then I see like Bonk guy with like 35 million UPNL on his Bonk line, and then he loses it all on 10th of October. So it's like there is crazy money here, and it's funny. Then it's counterpointed with just this incredible like informality, and everyone is pseudonymous online with these like anime girl avatars, and it's just like it's a crazy industry. So I think something that I always try and do is, I do try and in terms of what I do, I try and bring like a professionalism, a kind of a grounded approach to this thing, because it can be easy to lose yourself and kind of forget that, at the end of the day, like with what I'm doing at Chroma, like I am like, people are paying me a membership to be part of the community, right? And that puts an incredible that's like there's a lot of trust implicit in that arrangement, right? If someone gives you money, right, you have to do your absolute best to ensure that you are providing them with the best possible service, and that you are giving them the best possible value for the money that they have given you, right? Because it is a trust, it's a bond of trust. Someone gives you money, you want to do the absolute best to have earned that money, right? And I think that sometimes people forget that. They just think, it's crypto, everyone, just degen, it's all good, and no, like I say to the guys, like, we're running a professional outfit here. This is a professional team. Like, as soon as there's money involved, and we always have to be on our A game, and that means like, like when you make a commitment to live stream, like you stream at that time and you're not late and you're not messing around people's time.
Punctual, exactly.
Exactly. Like, and it's like, if you, like I say, if you call a trade, you don't just go, I don't know about this trade anymore. And then, no, you update people, you guide them through it, and it's like you commit to providing them content and giving them the best possible value for their membership. And I think like it's funny how that's sometimes not the norm, and particularly like I've seen other groups where that's not the norm at all. And I just think maybe that's a good part of the corporate environment that followed me here.
It's a good kind of hybrid model, right? I mean, we're very, very similar here at TBN, right? When I first came here kind of 4 years ago now, and I said to Adrian, like, you go through the questions, everything, and said to him, okay, well, what's your vision for this? What really is the mission of the Bird Nest, right? What's your passion, right? And, he's a CMT level 3. He's a much more technically knowledgeable guy than probably a lot of people give him credit for, because he's such a big name in the industry, right? Does lots of talking. He's a great brand ambassador, but really underneath it all, he's an incredible technical trader, right? And really has a great knowledge of like legacy markets, everything like that. When he came in, he just said, look, we want to build the best company in the space with the focus on trading education. That's the key thing. People that come to us, we want to over deliver. We want to empower everyone, the education, the resources they need, right? And it's so similar to the approach you have. But I think one of the most difficult things to balance, because I completely agree with you, hugely immature space. I came out of wearing like, 3-piece suits every day and the stuff like that. And then I'm wearing like, a polo top to my first TBN thing. And people are like, dude, you don't need to dress up. You're like,
polo top, man. Yeah, that's above and beyond, man.
Well, man, I may as well have been sat there in a tuxedo with these guys, right? But it's funny because then it's like you said, right? The next challenge is if you make it too informal, it turns into a playground, right?
Yes.
If you make it too formal, it becomes too corporate and you remove that love and that passion, because we're all kind of, a little bit of all of us is in this because we love fighting the status quo, I think that's a big appeal to a lot of people in crypto. And I think that's why it's kept that really informal kind of nature about it, right? So growing that, keeping the informal side of it, but making a professional company is not an easy thing to do, right? But what I just wanted to touch upon here, that you talking about that exposure to law gave you a really good heads up on that. Well, great. Look, the company side, fantastic. You can just see it in what you guys do. And if anybody isn't following or going over, please go over, check them out. I'm sure there's some kind of Black Friday fun going on. Don't want to put you on the spot if there isn't, but good luck to the marketing team. There is, exactly. And we're going to get you all those details afterwards. But what I wanted to touch upon again was how that's helped your trading, right? Because one of the big things I see with people, even when they get that more technical proficiency, is discipline and structure. Your trade plan, your routine, how you're approaching the charts, and having that conviction in what you're doing to execute, right? Do you think that, you kind of touched upon it a minute ago, was that a good crossover from you? Did you take a lot of good work? Because in law, you've got to be so structured. Your time is worth everything. If you're not really quick and efficient with what you do, then you're probably not going to get a place at a decent law firm, let alone be able to cope.
Yeah, heavily competitive industry, especially at the low, like when you're just getting into it, like, do you want that spot on the internship? Like, well, great, you're fighting 500 other incredibly smart students for maybe 10 spots, right? And that's the whole way it is, like, for interns, for trainees, for paralegals. It's incredibly, now once you're in the door, it's a little bit different, but it's incredibly hard to get that first chance. And I think that there's a lot to be said for an industry like that, because it really rewards people who put in hard work. And it's like, I say this about trading as well, right? There are vocations out there that you can be the best in the world and it doesn't matter. You still need an element of luck on your side. Like, I think about, acting or maybe like, you know, singing on Broadway or something. And it's like you can be the most talented singer in the world. You can be like the most technical actor ever, but you'll never be in those big Hollywood films. You'll never get like the leading part on a Broadway musical because like you just never got your big break, right? For various reasons. Maybe you weren't marketable, maybe you just didn't have the right industry connections. You never made your big break, right? It's an element of luck involved. Same with like being a certain type of athlete. Like, you know, I'm not talking about the guys who put in the work every day and grind and go. I'm talking about like, you know, it doesn't matter how much work you put in, you're never going to be like faster than Usain Bolt in the 100-meter sprint. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter if you start training when you're 6 years old, right? It's genetics are going to come into play. So there's an element of luck there as well. There are, however, thankfully, a bunch of occasions where luck does not factor into it. And I think trading is one of them. I think law is one of them. What they do reward, they don't reward people who are like somehow genetically lucky or people who, you know, rolled the dice and got double sixes. They do reward people who put in the work, show up every day, and continue to grind, right? And I think people often think that trading is like, you know, like, oh, like that guy bought Dogecoin when it was, you know, 0.001. He got a 10,000x. It's like, that's not lucky, trading, right? Though. That is just luck. But actually, the majority of cases of successful traders I know, when I'm looking around social media, right, they're guys who like have been putting in the work. They have been grinding it out until they found something. They identified an edge that they could take advantage of, and they exploited it, and they made tons of money. You know, you know, you just hear about the success stories, the guys who wrote it up in 2017, 2021. But like, what about the years of work that they put in before that? What about the positioning, the technical analysis knowledge that they gathered before those big run-ups? You know, there's a lot of work that goes in behind the scenes. You just see the P&L, you just see the results, but actually a lot of these guys are putting in work behind the scenes. I think that's the beauty of trading in a lot of senses, is that you don't need to win the genetic lottery. You don't need to be some kind of 1 in a million genius, right, to make it big in trading. However, you do need to have this incredible work ethic and this discipline to keep showing up even when shit is going badly, right? And I can tell you, I've been around since 2021. I have seen shit go badly, right? We had FTX, we had Luna, we had Voyager, we had Celsius, we had Three Arrows Capital. We had all these events, right? We've had so many. We had the biggest crypto liquidation event just happened a month and a half ago, right? And what was it, $40 billion liquidated or something like that? So it's like these there are always going to be like setbacks and things that kind of knock you down, and it takes a special. It does take a special type of person to just keep
just getting up,
going.
right?
Just get up and turn up the next day. I think that's what's rewarded, right? And I think in terms of drawing parallels between law and trading, like it's the same thing. Like that kind of discipline and that kind of hard work is really, really rewarded. And again, I don't think it's something where that's the beauty of it, is that anyone can succeed. It's not this thing where you need to be someone special or some kind of special intellect.
You're not born, right? Like, I mean, fun enough, Dank and I were talking on the previous show about a book, The Way of the Turtle. And the whole point of that book is the same thing. Like, loads of random people were selected, given a winning trading system, said, just follow these rules. All you have to do is follow these rules. And the variance of results was unbelievable, right? But we are in an industry that gives you opportunity. But at the same time, I do think the big distraction in our industry is that it's very synonymous with the whole get rich quick. Like you say, look, people aren't following these traders that have ground their way up from that. You know, like that's why I've got a lot of respect for Maine as well, right? Because he wasn't, you know, and people will always say this about everyone. I was an early stage adopter, he was blah, blah. Yeah, but you still had to have conviction, understanding what's happening. How many early stage adopters round tripped everything several times, right? But the industry's really awash with this whole kind of, you know, I made like 8,000 a day trading this indicator and you'll never lose. And, you know, just invest in this coin and, you know, supernormal returns 10,000x, etc. So,
well, that's so yeah, isn't it?
This is just, it is the kind of, I think it's the attraction for some people. I don't think it was, well, it definitely wasn't for me. I just weirdly fell in love with technical trading. I just saw this thing and I was just like, I can't really get my head around this, why this works. And I just really, really, really need to know. But I think a lot of people kind of come in and they've got all this passion, they've got everything that they want, but they struggle to narrow that down to, first of all, find out who they are, find out what type of trader they are, what really speaks to them, right? And I think that's one thing I love about Chroma, what I love about the Bird Nest is going on there and seeing a list of full-time traders who were all contributing actively every day and looking through and thinking, do you know what? I don't know what a bat harmonic is, but my God, I want to know, right? Or looking at a fundamental channel and going, God, this on-chain thing really speaks to me. I can't trade technicals, but my God, I love researching companies, right? If you don't have that exposure. So before we let you go on, there's one comment I just absolutely got to share because it's just been tickling me since we're on there. So Shane's winning comment of the day so far, but maybe one for the OnlyFans or maybe
my barrister suit. Yeah, I actually don't. So I worked as a solicitor. So we didn't have the gowns and the wigs. And actually the wigs have been phased out. You don't really see those among people my age. They do still wear them though. It's more like old fuddy-duddies though. But yeah, any barrister my age would not be wearing the wigs. I mean you see them in the gowns. You see them in the gowns for sure.
I'm going to have to interrupt you and stop you there because the numbers for the show just dropped 50% and we lost all the women, right?
That's fine. That's totally fine. No, yeah. I mean, I worked with some barristers. I worked for some solicitors. I mean, it's a crazy world, and I think that it's one of those professions that, like, if you're into it and you love it, then you'll buzz off it for the rest of your days. But I wasn't. It wasn't something that resonated with me, and I tried. I gave it the good college try.
You were also good at it, right? Because this is something that's really important to me as well. Is I did businesses, right? I really struggled to fit into mainstream jobs and kind of came out, tried a bit of recruitment, tried some other stuff, didn't really find it for me, fought the whole law, fought the whole finance thing that, people were taking people in my position and trying to funnel them into. I bought a music studio when I was 19 years old. I just went on this wild ride, just starting different businesses, had a procurement firm, digital marketing agency, and they were successful enough that it got me to a really, really comfortable point in my life. And I think a little bit similar to you with your law journey, you'd kind of got there. This wasn't I'm scratching around in the dirt for something to do and I don't know where I'm going. I think for both of us, one thing we have in common is we had relative success to a level in the industries we were in, but just accepted they weren't fulfilling us. And actually, I think a lot of people get that wrong. People are like, well, I'll go for that safety and security. But ultimately, whether you find that passion and that kind of, that fulfillment in law or trading, or it might be in nursing, just anything, right? I think it is important to follow your passion because the workload is crazy, right? You are an incredibly hard worker. You advocate that a lot, which I agree with. And if you compare it to something like the 10,000 hour rule, which you see a lot in sport, people like Tiger Woods talking about this, that you can't even really start to approach mastering any subject till you spend 10,000 hours in it, right? Then I think if you've got a real passion for that thing, it helps you stay up studying late nights. It stops you going to the pub when other people are going to the pub because you really just want to get this little bit of extra work in, right? And I think that's something that there's a lot of passionate people in this space. So I think maybe the message is to just try and work out where you belong in this space or what really speaks to you in this space so you can really push that forward.
Well, I guess I mean, life is short and it can be tough if you're spending every day. I mean, I used to get this sinking feeling I now realize was anxiety, but I used to get this feeling in my stomach on a Sunday evening because I knew that I had 5 days of work coming up in a few hours.
Hated it.
And I hated it. And it was only after I left law that I realized I didn't have that feeling anymore. And I was like, oh yeah, that was probably crippling anxiety that I was feeling for so many years because I didn't like my job. Now I appreciate everyone has like circumstances, and some people work jobs that they hate because they have a family to feed, or I completely and I have the utmost respect for that. But I think if you're fortunate enough to be in a position where you can try something else out, right? Even if it means taking a risk or gambling on your future, right? Even if it means maybe transitioning into something that might not pay the same amount, at least initially, I would say go for it, because if you don't try it once, then you'll never know. And if you're fortunate enough to be able to try it, and if it doesn't work, then you can go to back to the other thing. Like, that's even better, right? And I think that it makes even more sense when you're young. Like I mean, I transitioned out of law when I was 30, so that's not exactly young, but I mean, I also said to myself, like, well, it's now or never, because I probably can't do this when when I'm 40 and I have a kid, or and if I'm married, like it's only going to get harder from here. So I mean, it's funny looking back on it now. I mean, it's the best decision I ever made, because it took me from something that was I guess that was drawing from me, right? That it
Mhm.
was something that I didn't enjoy. I
Taking
was
energy
making,
from you, right?
yes,
Yeah.
I was making good money, but it was taking from me in such a huge way, right?
Mhm.
It was emotionally draining. It was spiritually draining. It was
Yep.
physically draining as well. Like 12 hours in an office downtown,
Mhm.
working in an office, you know, with people that I wasn't necessarily like
But
friends.
versus 12 hours now, right? Like this is just one thing that I just want to say before we find some information about you, because we really want to share. And unfortunately, obviously, we've run out of time. Should book you for 3 hours, to be honest. But it's you're still doing the same amount of work now. I think that's what people need to understand, right? When you were in law, you were working incredibly hard. You were finding that it was an emotional, spiritual, energy-based drain. I can empathize with that. You're now working maybe even more hours, right? And or at least as hard, right? I know what you do. I get messages from you sometimes at like 2 a.m. and you're just like, yeah, shutting down here. Well, I'll see you in the morning, brother. I'm like, what a legend, right? But it's a very different drive when you have that passion attached to something that you can see come to fruition, right? You know, like you say, turning up at the Discord, speaking. Of course, there's stresses, of course, there's challenges, but it does put you in a very different light. So, look, unfortunately, because we've run out of time, brother, one thing I'd really love to do is I'm just going to share your Twitter on the screen. But is there anything you would like to share with everyone? So make sure you go over and follow Follis. Is at FOLLIS. You can see it on the screen there. Do go and give him a follow. You can find all the information for Chroma in there as well. But is there anything else you'd like to share with us before you go, my friend?
No, I mean, that's it. Yeah, go follow me on socials. I stream 3 times a week. I'm
Mhm.
active every day in Discord. I'm also posting regularly on X/Twitter. But yeah, just to touch on that last point you made, like
Mhm.
the thing is, like, I work more hours now than I ever worked before, but I
Yeah.
don't feel it as work. I don't see it as
Yeah.
work because it's something that I love. It's something that I'm passionate about, and it's
Mhm.
something that brings me joy, right? So, thankfully, I was able to transition into something that adds to my life instead of taking away from it. And
Mhm.
I work harder than ever before, but it doesn't feel like work, and that's a beautiful thing. Is Follis
Cheers.
going to stream on Twitch, or that's it for today? No, that's it for today. This was the Twitch stream.
This was the Twitch stream, and I'm absolutely honored to be on it. But no doubt he'll be back with you soon as well. Also, everyone, live trading, right? It's a different animal. You're trading in front of people live, and it's something we both do. Follis does it to a lot more people than I do, right? But I tell you right now, if you're going to go and follow people that you want to learn from, follow people that are doing it in the real world, right? And that's a really, really, really good thing to leave on. But do go and check Follis out. Go and check Chrome out. You can find all the information. There's going to be some Black Friday wonders kicking about out there as well. And as for that, we got to leave. Adrian's about to kick up another show on the other side. Thank you so much, brother. It's always such a pleasure when I get to spend any time with you. You're one of the people I just love speaking to, love being around. You've got a great energy, wonderful story. Give my love
Likewise.
to the intern and just everybody over at Chroma. Tell Johnsy one day, I promise I'll learn what a bat harmonic is. All right. And apart from that, I'm sure you got a packed day. But thank you so much for joining, man.
Appreciate you guys. Thanks. Enjoy the weekend.
Thanks, man. Take care, legend. Oh man, what an absolute dude. I mean, that show absolutely flew past. Just one of my absolute favorite people. And please, please, please do go and check Follis out and everything that him and the crew are doing over at Chroma. Now, we've got another amazing show coming up for you literally in 2 minutes. Remember that the Black Friday deal is live. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can find that down in the description. If you're watching this on Twitter or X, then go over to the Burb Nest profile. You can find anything on there. And if there's any issues at all, you can reach out to me. BC_Richfield. All right. Stay tuned. We've got some great shows coming up. Adrian's going to be on next with an amazing guest. So make sure you tune in for that. And then we're going to have the live market analyst meeting after that as well. So plenty of questions, charts, and everything to your heart's desire. Have an amazing rest of the day, and we'll see you for the next show.